this is Mass X with a new Bleach Immortal Souls video, and this is part 2 of the wonderful video series on Awaken weapons. Okay, it's not that exciting, but I am going to touch on the SSRs. There will be a list in the description of where I put them. As before, there's 3 tiers: top, middle, bottom tier. With that being said, let's start right away with Kensai, which one of the best SSRs out there, especially for tanking. Awaken weapon, I put it on the lower tier. Doesn't do much for him, but again, as I always say, if you're using a character, if he works well with your synergy, and you just have faith in him, awaken their weapons. There's nothing wrong with it. There is no bad awaken weapon. They all make them better, just some do much more than others. For his, it's not going to change the world for him. But if you're using them all the time and you have the accessibility to get it, do it. All right? So let's go on. Who's next? Next up, Unohana. Unohana I put in the middle tier. Another top tier SSR character for multiple reasons. I don't like to use her for the unicide, but I have mine fully leveled, as you can see. And I use her because she's just, her benefit's too great. And I like her on the field, quite honestly, because she's giving my characters more rage. She's healing them. Come on. You know? And of course, if you use Unicide, great. Then you know exactly what you have to do. And, you know, you're looking for her to die as fast as possible. That being said, let's move on to the next one. Gin, one of my all-time favorite characters back in the day. Now I don't use him as much because the poison just doesn't work as well with him. His awakened weapon, if poison worked like it used to, I would have it at a top tier. Now I put it at the middle tier as awakened weapon. Definitely a good serviceable character, but not as amazing as he used to be. Kind of similar with Soifon. I put hers on the middle tier. She's still a good character. Really good character. She used to be great back in the day. I find other options I put in for her now. Her awakened weapon I put on that middle tier. Ishin, one of my characters I'm most upset with. I used to use him quite a bit. I spent a lot of time leveling him, at least using him quite a bit in Squad Boss. Now, not so much. Doesn't do what it used to. I put his awakened weapon on the lower tier. Still an okay character, but definitely he's lost his traction, let's say. Mayuri, still one of the top tier SSRs out there, and his awakened weapon also is a top tier SSR awakened weapon without a doubt. Let's go on after that. Yoruichi, the SSR, great tank. She came from Season Pass. Her awakened weapon I also put top tier. Luppi, well, I had great high hopes for him. Never panned out. I put Luppi's awakened weapon on the lower tier. I hardly ever use him, if ever, anymore. Lisa I put on the middle tier. I still use her. I use her in Worlds, since you have to have 7 teams when you get to Grandmaster. Hers I put middle tier. She's still a good character. A little bit glassy at times, but she does good attacks. Can't knock her for that. Yachiru, top tier SSR character. In my opinion, a top tier awakened weapon. If you're using her, you should have her weapon awakened without a doubt. Hiyori, another great SSR. I put her awakened weapon also on the top tier. She's just a good all-around tank frontliner. Does decent damage. I like her a lot. Renji, I put his in the middle tier. Used to use him a lot early on because there wasn't a lot of tanks available. Did the job, did it okay. His awakened weapons mid-tier for me. Nothing spectacular. Komamura, I love him. Still good tank. Awakened weapon middle tier also. Used him for a long time, to say the least. Rukia SSR, I put hers on the high tier. What it does is the nice thing with her awakened weapon is when the freeze comes undone, it does, I believe it's 8% damage to the character off of their HP, if I'm not mistaken. In any case, if you're using her, her awakened weapon is well worth the investment. Chad SSR, I really like him a lot. I put his also on the upper tier for Awaken weapons. I just haven't found the right place for him yet, but he's definitely a good character. Does good damage. Ryukin, I put his on the lower tier. I don't use him at all. If you use him, great. I just haven't found the usefulness for him. And I also put the Awaken weapon on the lower tier. Toshiro Ssr, who I used all the time and just never got out of him what I was hoping for. He doesn't proc like you would hope. His Awaken weapon I put on middle tier because of that. Love, great SSR, good tank. I put his Awaken weapon on the middle tier. Toshiro, another outstanding SSR character. I put his Awaken weapon though on the lower tier because it really doesn't do much except for increased damage. But again, he can hit multiple times, so that damage increase is nice, but it's not the be all end all of the world for an Awaken weapon. Tosen, I put Tosen's Awaken weapon on the middle tier, another very good SSR character. Matsumoto, another good SSR character. She used to be phenomenal. She's kind of phased out on a lot of people's teams. I still see her used. I still pull her in every so often. Probably not as much as I should. Her Awaken weapon I put on the middle tier also. Yammy, another great tank for an SSR. I put his Awaken weapon on the top tier. It helps him out immensely. Probably one of the newer SSRs. That's one of my favorites is the halibel one. I put her Awaken weapon top tier. She is great for an SSR. Ikkaku, another one that kind of disappointed me. I would probably put his Awaken weapon on top tier if you're using him because it really does help him a lot. I don't use him a lot. Whereas for barragan SSR, I use a lot. I put his Awaken weapon on top tier. I like him. He's a great SSR, especially with other tanks. He has great synergy with. Definitely a good one. Szaz, another really good SSR that's come out from the newer end of the game. I like him a lot. I put his as a top tier. He's just a phenomenal SSR if you can find a place for him. Tessai, same thing. Another solid SSR. I put his Awaken weapon though mid-tier though. Lillenette, I don't use much, but the Awaken weapon is definitely on the upper tier to say the least for that particular character. nnoitora, this one I also like a lot. Boy, I need to stop saying that so much. With that being said, I don't see that I put him on my list. Oh, I did. There we go. Just too many characters on here. I put it middle tier. For him, I do use him. I like him. Zommari, another good, serviceable SSR. For him, I can't remember. Let's take a look. I can't remember what it does. After Weapon Awakens, damage is greatly increased, and Mastery skills deal additional damage for 2 rounds, which is additional 50% of Zommari's attack for 2 rounds. Definitely good. I put it mid-range because I don't think his attack is high enough to justify it to the high range, but hey, it's just a subjective opinion, right? Let's see. Let's get the hers. I put hers at, if I'm not mistaken, yep, I put it on the upper tier. It's a very good Awaken weapon. The damage and the amount of rage recovered are greatly increased, as well as a guaranteed mastery skill. That is exactly why. Let's take a look. Oops. Stark is another good SSR. Wouldn't say great SSR, but definitely a good one. Stark I put in mid-range. I don't use his SSR much, to say the least. Kukaku, again, another good SSR. I put her Awaken weapon mid-range. Nell SSR, I put her Awaken weapon on the top tier. She's actually really good. With the right team setup, she can do a lot. I don't use her much. Again, there's only so many characters you can use at the end of the day, but she is good. And her Awaken weapon definitely justifies spending for if you're using her. Wonderwiess, another one I put on the upper tier. I actually like this character. I haven't had a lot to be able to experiment with yet, but it has a lot of plus side. The byakuya, younger one, I also really like. I put on the upper tier also for Awaken weapon, another solid character that I would definitely recommend. Oh my god, I'm not going to be able to pronounce this right now because I'm having a complete brain beep right now. Abirama. Abirama I put middle tier. Have not tested, have not used. I'm not sure if many people have invested in. I wasn't very impressed with the character. The Awaken weapon is just average in my opinion. Findor, again, another one that I don't use much, so I don't have a lot to comment on. The Awaken weapon, in my opinion, is just middle tier, to say the least. And again, I'm going to list these all in the description in their different series, just like I did last time, so you're aware. And I think I got through them. If I missed anybody, they will be in my list. Bam, get through that stuff fast. Let's not belabor it, all right? Because at the end of the day, use who you like. Be creative. Just because somebody says somebody's crap, if you can find the use for them and they work well for you, use them. Man, originality is few and far between. And in these games, when I see somebody using a creative team or setup, man, I just hats off to them because I love to see that. With that being said, like and subscribe if you haven't. I'm going to be putting a community post up where I want to get everybody's suggestions for videos and questions in one place. As work increases, it's getting harder to get onto YouTube all the time like I used to, so I apologize if I haven't answered your question. I'm doing the best I can right now. Hopefully over the weekend I'll be able to catch up. Have a good day, take care of yourselves, and I hope you have a fun weekend. Thanks a lot.